UK Sports Betting Tips podcast. Today I'm joined with Joe Norris from Getyourtipsout. And today I want to ask you, Joe, what guests would you love to have on to be able to interview, to grill, to have a go at maybe? It could be a jockey, it could be a trainer, or just to get some inside information. What guests would you love to have on the UK Sports Betting Tips podcast?
Right, so I'm going to try and look away from the obvious here. So I'm looking away from the trainers or jockeys at the moment. Now his nickname is the Couch. I don't know if you remember him, Mark Winstanley. He used to do a lot of video footage with Coral back in the day, and I just think he's really entertaining bloke. He obviously absolutely loves his racing. Um, I think I'm pretty sure he was one of the first people to spot the potential of Sprinter Sacra back in the day. Um, yeah, he absolutely loved that horse, and we all know what that horse went on to achieve. I just think he'd be really good to get on the podcast.
Would there be any trainers or jockeys that you'd love to get on there on the UK Sports Betting Tips podcast?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how doable it is, but I think Gordon Elliott would be brilliant before Cheltenham. Especially, I always think with him with his handicappers, they're the ones that you want to ask him about, not so much the obvious ones.
Yeah. What about the jockey then within Gordon Elliott's yard, Mr. Kennedy?
Jack Kennedy.
Jack Kennedy. He obviously broke his leg multiple times. Absolutely.
6 times he's broke his leg.
Yeah, just the toughest jockey I've ever come across. He still
Yeah.
throws them into every single hurdle and every single chase. What a jockey. I don't know if you've ever seen Ruby Walsh recently, just bigging him up every single time he speaks about him.
Yeah.
So obviously he's riding all the horses within Gordon Elliott. So I think I'd love to have him on. Want to talk about
Yeah.
how tough he is and almost the roller coaster ride of being a jockey. So like you can go and be champion jockey 1 minute and the next minute you're breaking your leg and you're out for 6 months and stuff like that to try and come back. And then
Yeah.
still have the bottle to be able to ride him out like he is. I think he would.
Well, like the mental toughness to come back from breaking your leg 6 times is incredible, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
And you know, obviously, I don't want to jinx him, but I feel like only this season, really, he's he's reaching his sort of peak because having multiple setbacks must have been so tough for him. And hopefully, touch wood, he stays injury free this season, and we see how good he is. Um,
What about like Willie Mullins, Paul Townend? Would you want any of them on? Obviously,
I'd obviously love to interview Willie Mullins, but I don't know how much you'd get out of him, really. Like, um, I feel he's got so many horses, and he doesn't really give much away, does he? I don't think.
yeah, I mean,
Um,
I think you're right. I think I'd prefer to have Gordon Elliott on. I think he gives a little bit more away.
yeah, I met Paul Townend in a pub in Dublin after the Dublin Racing Festival. That was about 3 years ago, and he surprised me how sort of open he was and chatty. Like, so I think he would be a good guest because I don't think people realise how knowledgeable he is actually on everything. So yeah, Paul Townend I think would be good.
What about Nicky Henderson with regards to the Constitution Hill kind of saga and stuff like that of like what's going on in his head with regards to obviously unbelievable run on the flat, now not in the champion hurdle. There's something happened at
Yeah.
home on his latest piece of work. Has something not happened? Is it just that they're going? The owner said he's going to work backwards from the Melbourne Cup. Is he going to even get into the Melbourne Cup? Is he going to be good enough? Is he going to go? Like
I
what?
would I would love to speak to him about that off camera,
Yeah,
because I feel like that's the only way you'd get anything out of him. I really feel like he wanted to go to the champion hurdle.
yeah.
Out of him and Buckley, the owner, I think he was the one pushing for the champion hurdle, whereas I think the owner wanted to run him on the flat. I think it's a massive shame that we're not going to see him at Cheltenham. I really do.
Yeah, I do as well. And do you know what? Anyone who's watching this who's thinking about the well-being of Constitution Hill and thinking that the flat is a better scenario, there's nothing worse than the weight of that horse because generally speaking, national hunt horses are heavier. to be running at places like Royal Ascot and good to
Yeah,
firm ground, that is way worse than,
yeah,
especially at his age now, to be running on good to firm ground as opposed to you've always got the soft side of good over the
mm,
jumps. Like I think he could end up getting injured. I touch wood. I hope he doesn't. But I think he's got a bigger chance of getting injured on the flat running on good to firm ground than running on soft. I get you can fall, I can get you can break the leg, but you can cause some serious injuries when you're running on the firmer side of good, especially with that weight that he's going to be doing with
yeah.
the big national horses. Like I'd love to see him back over jumps personally, but I can get some people's point. He's fallen 3 times out of 4, but
I
yeah,
completely agree with you. Like, but the problem is, I don't think Nicky will run him when it's quick.
yeah,
But then that leads to another problem. We're going to have the saga of will he run, won't he run for probably about
yeah,
another year or so.
yeah,
And you know, I feel like they've let the public win, and if that is a dodgy
yeah.
slope to go down, I think because you know if you start questioning should a jump horse go over hurdles, where'd you go next?
Yeah,
Like
yeah. So
you
then what
start
about
questioning the sport as a whole.
yeah? So back onto the guests then. Like Matt Chapman was very vocal, wanted him to go jumping. Would you like to
Yeah,
get someone like Matt Chapman on who he says it, he wears his heart on his sleeve, like he's Marmite. Some people love him, some people hate him. I
yeah.
like him. I think he's good for the sport. Then obviously there's plenty of others like Sean Bowen, what an unbelievable jockey, riding out of his skin. Would you want to get any of those as being guests on the UK Sports Betting Tips podcast?
Yeah, I think Chappers would be great. I've always been a fan of him. I think, you need people like him that are gonna divide opinion. Otherwise it'd just be boring.
Yeah.
Um,
What about
and yeah,
the tipsters? What about Tom Collins? Obviously, you know Tom. You've met him a few times yourself. What about the racing blogger? I think he's great for horse racing as well. I think he's good getting this stuff out there. Again, sometimes he's Marmites. He gets a lot of Twitter trolls, but then so does majority of other people that are putting up any tips. I
yeah, exactly. Like I've known Blogger for years. I've probably known him for about 10 years, just from like seeing him at racing and stuff like that. What I'd say with him is he's Twitter does so well. I feel like he gets caught in the position of putting up his actual opinion and then putting up something that's going to divide opinion because obviously it's better for business, isn't it? So yeah, I feel like some people are quite harsh against him, but that's the way he's chose to do it, and that's up to him. But having met him, in real life, he is a top bloke. Yeah, I've got nothing bad to say against him.
Sounds good. So anyone who's watching this with regards to the UK Sports Betting Tips podcast, it's going to be growing at a rate of knots. We're going to start getting a lot of different guests on. What guests would you want us to get on? What questions would you want us to ask them? Leave a comment in the comment section and let us know, or drop a DM over to Joe Norris or myself, and then we'll hopefully try and start getting some decent guests on the UK Sports Betting Tips podcast.